This past weekend, I went to go see Pixar's new movie, Hoppers. And I've got to start off by saying I actually had a lot of fun with this movie. I thought that this movie overall was a very good movie in general. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So my name is Austin here with Fiction and Flicks. And if you are new around here and you do enjoy watching movie reaction videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We have a bunch of stuff planned here for the month of March. And not only for March, but for the rest of the year to come. As of right now, the big project that I'm working on is I am rewatching all of the MCU movies before Doomsday officially releases later this year. So if you're interested in what I think about your favorite Marvel movie, make sure to follow along down below. So first of all, I just wanted to go ahead and say that I thought that this movie was actually very funny. So if you have not seen it, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. So if you don't want anything to be spoiled, do not stay too long for this video. Go watch the movie and come back, of course. So the premise of this movie is essentially Mabel is a girl that has a nature tie because of her grandma that was here at one point in time at the beginning of the movie. Then unfortunately the grandma does end up passing away, and so even though she has passed away and she showed Mabel exactly what it is that's important about nature, why it's important, what's beautiful about it, what to expect from it, how to use that to get away from everything. When she passes away, Mabel does her best to live out that message and make sure that no matter what comes from the humanity side of things, that it's not going to get in the way. Then one of the two main villains in this movie, who is going to be the mayor, he decides that he is going to essentially make a highway that is going to shut down one of the glades or the ponds in which her and her grandma used to go to throughout the entirety of the movie. And so because of this, Mabel is doing everything she can to fight back, and the mayor goes out to say that because there's no animals living in it at that point in time, there was officially no reason not to build the highway. And so because of that, Mabel ends up finding her teacher from her university that she is not currently doing very well in the class in, and tries to come up with some sort of an out route for this situation. She then tries to build up a bunch of fruits to make what would be the start of a dam to hopefully attract at least one beaver to be there at that point in time. Because if there's one animal that's living there, then they won't have to worry about actually building the highway. So during the chaos of it all, Mabel is sitting there and she is watching the pile that she had made of all of the fruits, all of the vegetables, all the dam, like the wood for the dam, so on and so forth. And she sees a beaver go up to it, but then the beaver leaves without really taking too much of a notice to the pile that would be the start of the dam. After that, she sees it get in a van, rather than just running free because it's an animal. She then follows the van back to what would be her university. And lo and behold, the scientist that they were talking to in the first part of the movie, she essentially made a robot that she can transfer her own self into that is disguised as a beaver. And overall, I really did think that the premise of this movie was very good. There was a lot of laughs in this movie. I personally laughed incredibly hard during some of the parts of this movie. It was directed towards children, but at the same time, it did a good job of playing both sides. It did a good job of portraying to the adults that were going to be going to this movie, whether it was with their family, something they wanted to do like me, but nonetheless, it was still a very funny movie. My theater that I watched it in was actually full, and there was laughs the entire time. Not only was it funny, but I do feel like they did a really good job of portraying a message, just showing that, you know, nature is beautiful and that there's so many different things that go into building on for humans. You do have to worry about what's living there, the overall nature side of things when you are doing all of these different projects. And I also loved the villain in this movie. There was technically two villains, which I'll get to in just a second, but the first villain that we had was the mayor. I really thought that the mayor did a very good job in this movie of making you not like him from the very beginning, but he was doing what he thought was right for the people, didn't really think about what was right for the animals. And then on the flip side, Mabel was like, hey, what about the animals? What are we going to be doing here for the animals? And he didn't care because the only thing that he wanted was to be able to get reelected for the next year. And I thought that was a really good balance between the politics side of things, but also the realism side of things, trying to find a tie between the two. And I also thought that there was a very good twist villain. The twist villain in this, it was a butterfly that was played by Dave Franco, but it was very good. I thought that the overall twist villain was not one that I was personally expecting. It had motive, it had good things going for it, but there are some downsides to that, which I'll get to here in just a minute. And last but certainly not least, I thought that the plot held true all the way through pretty much until like the last 30 to 45 minutes of the movie. So overall, I did think that was a very good movie, but there was just a couple things that I had some issues with that I'll dive into now. I felt like the one thing that was very, very hard for me to connect with is it felt like this movie really struggled to figure out a direction that it was trying to go. It goes for a very emotional approach at the very beginning of the movie. You are tied to Mabel and her connection to her grandma. However, I don't know if the screenwriters decided, hey, we're getting way too deep in this whole emotional thing or not, but let's pull back a little bit and let's not have the emotional ending that people are wanting. So I'm not sure why they ended up going down that route, but it does pull back before it gets too deep. Then the main character, she absolutely hates the mayor. From the moment that they end up meeting, they always talk about how much they hate each other and how much Mabel actually hates him. However, as soon as they get some sort of a solution for it and a way that they can resolve their problems, or at least even talk about their problems or try to overcome their problems, then Mabel decides that she's going to pull back because that's just too deep. It's just one of those things that it's like, I have no idea where they're trying to go. And I thought maybe they're just not trying to be dark with this movie. But that was totally wrong, because in the third act, it was nothing but darkness. And if you watch this movie, it is incredibly dark. I have to admit that in the third act, this movie is dark. And it's very dark from a interesting perspective. It's not like a dark movie as in like a horror movie, but it's probably borderline intro horror to what would be considered a kids movie or a Pixar movie that I just wasn't expecting when I got myself into this movie. There was a lot going on, but overall, Dave Franco's character, it was just incredibly creepy, and there was just parts where it was incredibly unsettling to watch. So I can only imagine the fact that they put that into the kids movie, why they wouldn't go through all the other dark stuff that they were trying to hint to at the beginning of the movie. It just felt like in this movie, even though it was a good movie, there was still a lot of pieces that I had issues with that I just wish I didn't. So overall, this is going to be a 4 out of 5 star movie for me. I still enjoyed it. Like, as I mentioned, 4 out of 5 stars. I still thought that this was a very good original Pixar film, but there was just some stuff missing. There was overall just some stuff missing, and I feel like one of the big things is that if they were trying to go dark, just go dark. Just go all the way in on it. Or if they were going to try to keep it grounded, because the first 2 acts were very grounded, keep it grounded. I'm cool with that too. But it just felt like I was almost watching an entirely different movie come the third act, and I didn't appreciate that. But if you do want to watch this movie in theaters, I do still recommend it. There are some very good aspects of it. I just didn't love it nearly as much as to put it as a 5-star movie, but it was still a very good movie. This is going to be one of those ones that you can watch on streaming and still enjoy it just as much too. So if you don't feel like you want to watch it, that's totally okay too. If you want to wait until it comes out on streaming, I completely understand that as well. If you guys did enjoy and you want to see some more movie reviews, or you do want to see my current quest to watch all of the MCU films before Doomsday officially releases later this year, let me know down in the comment section down below. What did you think about Hoppers, and if you enjoyed it just as much as I did?